¿Ya está listo la persona ya? Okay, good evening. Welcome, Calexico City Council Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Finance Authority Special Meeting Agenda, Thursday, June 15, 2023. Call to order, 5:31, and roll call.
Mayor Ureña is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Bromo.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Manzanares is absent. Councilmember Moreno.
Present.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. Gabby, public comments? No, ma'am. Okay. Okay, adjourn to closed session and 5:32 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. It is 6:33. This is the open session of the Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority open session meeting. We're calling this open session to order. Roll call, Ms. Garcia.
Mayor Ureña.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bromo.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Manzanares.
Here.
Councilmember Moreno.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
City of Calexico mission statement. Together, we pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in a unique border community. Viva Calexico.
Please remain standing for the invocation. Heavenly Father, tonight we ask for your blessings for those who have been called to lead our community. Help us as leaders how to fix things, what we need to learn, how we might need to change, and who do we need to listen to. Remind us that no matter who we are, we treat everyone with respect. Amen. Help us as leaders how to fix things.
Closed session announcements by City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council went in closed session on the one item on the today's agenda. Received direction on the item, but no reportable actions were taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of agenda, I have received a request to move item number 4 out of the consent agenda by City Manager. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Ms. Romo.
Thank you, Mayor.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Agenda is approved. Moving on to consent agenda. Any, presentations before we get to it. And public comments, we did receive 2 public comments on specific items, but we will call them when we get to those items. One on item number 2. Mr. Legaspi, would you like to speak now or after the proclamation? Sure, go ahead. Public comments, we did receive 2 public comments on specific items, but we will call them when we get to one on item number 2. Mr. Legaspi, would you like to speak now or after the proclamation?
Mayor, council members, city manager, city attorney, thank you for having me up here. First of all, I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of Chief Jesus Serrano. I've known Chief Jesus Serrano for 28 long years. Had great times with him. Chief Jesus Serrano has been a role model, mentor, and I've appreciated his faith on me. He is a man of many words. He is that person that if you have a problem to bring up to him, he expects a solution. So you never show up with a problem unless you have a solution at hand. An inspiration to all police officers here in Calexico, also throughout the county. Not only a police officer, a police chief, but an instructor, which he will be taking forth in the military venue that he'll be coming upon. He's assisted me in many, many programs such as Kids and Badges for 19 years, Coffee with a Cop, many community-oriented outreach programs. Always by the book. Everything has an operational plan, even for the simplest things. You will be greatly missed, sir. And don't be a stranger. Calexico Police Department, we care for you, and we'll always be there for you. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Mendoza, on behalf of Senator Padilla. For the record, Giselle Mendoza, representing Senator Steve Padilla.
Good afternoon, Mayor Ureña,
Good afternoon.
Mayor Pro Tem Romo, and council members. It's an honor to be here today. Chief Serrano, I was very, very surprised to know that you were retiring, but very happy for you, and I'm sure that more than well-deserved. We express our deep gratitude and appreciation for your dedication and commitment to protecting the residents of Calexico. Your chosen profession is inherently risky, but you have always prioritized the residents' safety and made them feel secure. As you retire, we cannot thank you enough for your service and want to remind you of your tremendous impact on this community. We wish you the best in the next chapter of your life. Congratulations, and I really hope you enjoy retirement. Thank you.
City of Calexico City Council proclamation. If council's okay, I'm just gonna read through this. Chief Serrano, if you would like to come forward. If you would like to come forward so we can hand you the certificate ahorita and take a picture with you. Acá, ¿cómo se dice de este lado? City of Calexico City Council proclamation honoring Jesus Serrano for the 28 years of service. Whereas the Calexico City Council believes that it is important that we honor and acknowledge people who contribute to the citizens of Calexico, and whereas the City Council of Calexico here today expresses its appreciation to Jesus Serrano and honors him for his distinguished 28-year career with the City of Calexico and dedicated service to the residents of Calexico. And whereas Jesus began his career with the City of Calexico in 1994, where he held the following position throughout his years of service. 1994, police officer. Year 2000, sergeant. 2006, lieutenant. And 2022, interim police chief. Whereas in 2003 to 2004, Jesus took leave to serve his country with the U.S. Marines during operations Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. And whereas, after giving the City of Calexico 28 years of dedicated service, Jesus decided to retire on June 20th, 2023, to spend time with his family and pursue new endeavors. And whereas the City of Calexico wishes to honor Jesus Serrano for his distinguished service to the citizens of Calexico and this great city, and commemorate his many years of service to the City of Calexico and its citizens. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Calexico wishes to express its sincere appreciation to Jesus Serrano for his loyalty to the City of Calexico and wishes him much happiness as he begins this exciting new chapter in his life. In witness whereof, I hereunto affix my signature and the official seal of the City of Calexico on this 15th day of June, 2023. Congratulations.
Okay, well, we have another one for you. Presented to Jesus Serrano, interim chief of police. Need my glasses for this one. In appreciation of your leadership and dedicated service to the city of Calexico. November 1994 through June 2023. Calexico City Council, Raul Ureña Mayor, Golia Romo Mayor Pro Tem, Camilo Garcia Council Member, Gilberto Manzanares Council Member, and myself Council Member. Congratulations, Chief.
La foto y el speech. Sí. Speech first si quieres.
As Sergeant Legaspi mentioned, I'm a man of few words. I don't like the limelight. I don't like all this stuff. So, but first, I want to thank the citizens of Calexico for allowing me to serve them for 28 years of my life. I've been here at the age of 24. I started until now, which is 28 years later. There was a lot of times where the days were hard, but at the end of the day, the satisfaction of serving the community of Calexico has allowed me to continue for the past 28 days. And then, City of Calexico, I definitely want to thank you and the city council members and the employees of the city that have also supported me throughout these years, whether we working together or having discussions or disagreements, always for the better and always for the looking after the city, for ourselves and for the community and the city itself, reducing liability and stuff like that. But then I want to thank the members of the Calexico Police Department, because without them, I wouldn't be here. Past, present, and future. They've allowed me to be their leader through all these years, and they have propelled me to my success in the department here in the city, and also providing service for the community. And finally, my family, my dad, Jesus Serrano, my mom, Lucila Serrano, that they gave me an opportunity to come here from a different country and gave me the education in this country, and then from there, they provided everything that I needed so I was able to have an opportunity to go into the military and progress my career and my education. My aunt, Carmen Moreno, she's been here with me, and she's been a pillar of our family, and also for me to be able to propel myself and be able to be the role model for their children and my family. My wife, Elveda Yadira Serrano, she's been with me for 30 years already, and she should be getting all these awards just to put up with me. She's been there with me through the thick and thin and the heartaches, the success, but she's always been there for me. My daughter, Alisa, and my son, Jose, which that's my current motivation to keep going and be able to serve not necessarily the community of Calexico, but another community now. So overall, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity and the great memories that you guys have provided for me, and hopefully one of these days I'll write a book, and hopefully you guys buy it. And once again, thank you for everything. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being there when we needed you, especially for the police department and myself. And finally, Sergeant Legaspi, 28 years, it's been a ride. Good luck. Thanks.
La foto. La foto acá arriba, acá arriba.
La foto con el iPhone.
Del iPhone.
Because we don't have a budget.
City manager. Do the police officers also want to come up? Sure. Yes. ¿Quién más? La familia. Senator's office.
Oh, and I forgot my oldest daughter. And the reason why I forgot her is because she's not here right now. She's in school.
La family.
La familia, si quiere venir. Como quieras. Tú dirige la foto. Tú dirige la foto. Ahí están todos.
Si cabe,
Faltan gente de este lado.
Sí, aquí nos podemos.
Let's put over this way.
así, mira.
Hay que ponernos de
Así, así.
La familia para
Sí, pero
Todos en medio.
hay que recorrer. Si cabe, ¿quieres pasar? Un poquito para acá, para que ya ves sus hijos cerrados. Falta gente.
Viene la mamá.
We're looking at Gavin probably. Yeah, we're a city official.
Ahí viene la mamá.
De este lado, cabe gente.
Acá también.
Ahí están bien, ahí están bien. Sí, ándale, aquí, mero. ¿Listos todos? Paparazzi. Una solo con su familia.
Familia que se toma, ¿no?
Muevo esto también. Felicidades.
¿Te vas a entregar? Vente rápido para que te tomen la foto de una vez. Chief, le van a entregar una placa.
El Senado de Senate.
Sí, me espera que se me sacan las fotos.
Que le tomen una foto solo con esa placa.
Mira nomás, qué chulada.
So Chief Serrano, on behalf of the California State Senate, in recognition of your 28 years of service to the city of Calexico and the police department, we would like to recognize you for your exemplary service to the department. You have sworn a dedication to the badge and a desire to protect the residents. The professionalism has helped the entire community, and we wish you all the best in your retirement and beginning a new phase of your life. On behalf of the California State Senate and Senator Steve Padilla, we'd like to congratulate you and thank you for all of your service.
Felicidades.
We're waiting for the invitation after. Just kidding.
Ah, ese sí, ¿verdad?
Señora Ambriz, ¿usted quería hablar? Adelante. Just for the record, Gabby,
Yeah.
Maria Ambriz will speak. Ambriz, A-M-B.
This is not mine.
Good evening, muy buenas tardes. I will not take a lot of your time. I just wanted to be here. I'm a very dear friend of, well, I hope I'm a dear friend of the Serrano family. Very, very close friendship for over 20 years. But as I came here in support of him and his family, and I wanted just to share, I had the opportunity to know him, I've had the opportunity to know him as a friend, but more than anything, I had the opportunity to work with him professionally when I was a representative of the Calexico Unified School District. One of the things that I could count on when he was Sergeant Serrano and then Lieutenant, and then I didn't get to work with him when he was the chief, but when he had the other ranks, is that we could always count on the faithful service of the Calexico Police Department under his leadership and under his stewardship. And when I came in here, and I was very pleased to hear you recite the pledge of the city, or the mission statement, I just want you to know that that statement right there reflects very much the work that that man did for the last 28 years. He provided effective and efficient service. He was always courteous. He was always respectful. And because of that, was able to help improve and provide quality life for us, not just as a steward servant of the Calexico Unified School District, but as a citizen. I currently still live in Calexico, and I know that I could always count on the chief and under his leadership to steward on behalf of our citizens. So muchas felicidades, y lo digo en español porque está aquí su familia. Su hijo ha sido un representante ejemplar para este pueblo, para esta ciudad, para este municipio. Él proveó por los últimos 28 años un servicio ejemplar, efectivo, eficiente, al menos a mi parecer, no nada más como empleada del distrito escolar de aquí en un tiempo, sino como ciudadana de este municipio. Y para mí es un honor de conocerlo, de contarlo como alguien que fue miembro de esta comunidad, del servicio de la policía, pero más que nada como un sincero amigo. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Ms. Vice Mayor Romo would like to say some words as well.
Señor Serrano, hoy tuve dos llamadas muy importantes, y lo voy a decir en español porque la gente de habla hispana, que es la mayoría aquí en Calexico, y su familia y amistades, deben de saber lo importante que usted ha trabajado aquí en Calexico, como lo dijo la señora Ambriz. Y yo creo que este cabildo nos sentimos muy orgullosos de que usted haya prestado los servicios, y sobre todo siempre haya sido una persona tan profesional con todos nosotros, y en cualquier momento en el que usted se le ocupó, al menos yo lo puedo decir al 100%, el señor Serrano estuvo ahí para mí. Hay algo importante, hay dos personas de la comunidad que no lo conocen, me hablaron por teléfono y me dijeron: señora Romo, ¿qué va a pasar con el señor Serrano? Ven la agenda, aunque ustedes no lo creen, pero la agenda nomás viene en inglés. Bueno, le dije, el señor Serrano se retira con 28 años, y dice, ¿sabe qué? El señor Serrano no quiso decir nombre, pero dijo, estuvo en una ocasión en casa, hubo un accidente, y yo bendigo a ese señor porque fue una persona muy comprensiva con todos nosotros. Parece que usted dejó una semilla en esa familia. Y yo creo, señor Serrano, que probablemente en muchas familias de aquí de Calexico. Muchísimas gracias por todos sus servicios. Le deseo que le vaya muy bien, que Dios lo bendiga a usted y a toda su fina familia. No tenía el placer de conocerlos. Y señora, bienvenida cuando usted quiera. Bueno, espero que se quede en el Calexico, si es que viven, ¿verdad? Pero aquí, muchas gracias. Que Dios lo bendiga.
Gracias. Any other council member comments?
Yo, pues, a la familia Serrano, yo me llamo Javier Moreno, tuve la oportunidad de trabajar con su hijo, y gracias por ofrecernos un hijo a la comunidad. Yo tuve la oportunidad de trabajar cuando era policía en Calexico por 4 años, la manera que se comportó, siempre trató a las personas con respeto y dignidad, y eso es muy, muy importante. Y ahora nos deja un vacío en la corporación policíaca, pero pues respetamos, tiene derecho a jubilarse, está joven, tiene mucho por delante. Yo en lo personal también he recibido llamadas por personas que le agradecen al señor Serrano por el servicio que prestó a la comunidad. En lo particular, en situaciones cuando tuvo que él acudir a llamadas de emergencia, siempre se presentó con esa compasión como un policía, ¿no? Y hoy en día es muy difícil tener una profesión de policía y al mismo tiempo tener ese servicio al público de ser compasión y entender al público, a la ciudadanía. Y para eso, para mí es un honor. Y gracias a ustedes, están muy orgullosos por tener un hijo y gracias por ofrecernos ese hijo a nosotros. Yo sé que se nos va, pero no por un tiempo. Yo creo que lo vamos a ver más de él. Está joven, tiene mucho por delante todavía que ofrecer y gracias a ustedes, la familia, a su esposa. Espero que tengan mucho tiempo disponible porque ahora que está pensionado lo van a tener mucho en la casa y si es como está con nosotros acá, pues va a estar muy ocupado también, me imagino, en su casa. Y gracias. Serrano, es un privilegio haber trabajado contigo, es un honor y gracias, te merezco lo mejor del mundo. Felicidades en tu jubilación y esperemos verte más en otras ocasiones. Gracias.
Sí. Gracias. Señor Serrano, le voy a decir señor porque creo que ya estás transicionando para transicionarte a tu nueva vida, ¿no? Creo que siempre te decimos chief o interim chief señor Serrano, disfrute de su tiempo, disfrute de su familia. Gracias por el servicio no solamente a esta comunidad, pero a todo nuestro país, ¿verdad? Porque usted también decidió prestar su servicio en las Fuerzas Armadas. Creo que es algo que se mencionó también, pero de ahí viene su dedicación, viene su entrega al servir a su comunidad, a ser un servidor público. La primera vez que lo conocí, tuvimos una plática bastante extendida. Creo que si no hubieses parado esa plática, todavía estuviéramos ahí, yo creo. Porque me contaba de sus proyectos, tanto profesionales como inclusive a veces algo personal, ¿verdad? De cuáles eran sus proyectos. Y ahorita va a tener bastante tiempo para esos proyectos. Disfrútelos, disfrute su familia, disfrute sus amistades. Tómese el tiempo para usted, que es de usted, que se lo merece. Nos vemos en la próxima. Y quizá en alguno de estos días ir a comer, pero ¿sabe qué? Le voy a pedir un favor. Si ya está jubilado, no vaya a las 12, porque los que salimos a trabajar, ¿verdad? Tenemos que esperar eso después de las 12, ¿verdad? Pero no, de antemano, muchas gracias por su servicio. Muchas gracias a la familia que hizo el sacrificio también con usted. No solamente fue usted, pero también su familia. Muchas gracias.
A ver si sigue otra vez. Okay. Chief Serrano, I've only been here a little while, pero no lo conocí muy bien como los demás, pero de veras de todo corazón le deseo lo mejor en sus future endeavors, en lo que usted se dedique a hacer. Le deseo totalmente lo mejor. Sé que es un día importante para usted porque me imagino que es una culmination of an entire career, ¿verdad? Yo tengo 29 años, el señor Serrano tiene casi toda la vida que yo tengo vivo en el departamento de policía de Calexico, que eso en sí es algo que de veras es algo honorable, y habla mucho de su carácter, a su servicio y commitment a la comunidad, ¿verdad? Sé que hoy es un día tan importante como usted, al igual que con sus papás. Me imagino que lo que todos queremos en la vida como hijos es hacer a nuestros papás que se sientan orgullosos de uno, ¿verdad? Y yo creo que usted puede estar en paz en que ha alcanzado ese objetivo. Miro las caras de sus papás y se miran extremadamente orgullosos de usted. Cuando los miré acá, las caras todas iluminadas. Así que eso indica pues que usted ha cumplido su meta, ha sido buen hijo y buen ciudadano de la comunidad. Muchísimo éxito en todo.
nomás voy a decir nada más y nada menos que muchas gracias, señor Serrano, por sus 28 años en las Fuerzas Armadas y también aquí en la ciudad de Calexico, toda su experiencia combinada. Nomás voy a decir que espero que este último día de su servicio haya sido igual de emocionante que su primer día que entró aquí en la ciudad de Calexico. Muchas, muchas gracias. Un aplauso. Muy bien, seguimos ahora sí con la agenda. Muchas gracias a la familia por asistir y todos los que estuvieron aquí para honrar al señor Serrano. Gracias. Moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the City Council of Calexico. Is there any motions on the consent?
So moved.
So moved by Mr.
Second.
Moreno. Second by again? By Mr. Garcia. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to item number 4, Ms. Scolio, you had some comments you had to make on this item?
Ms. Fonseca will be making the presentation for the proposed budget. I just want to remind you that this is only a discussion of the proposed budget.
We're on item number 4,
I'm sorry.
as requested.
The one that was pulled.
We pulled it out of consent because you
Yeah.
had some comments. On SCIU,
On the SOU,
but use the other microphone porque no está funcionando muy bien. Yes. Oh, I think that one works.
it's not working either. Let's see. Does that work better? I'm not gonna move it. I think it's the problem is when I move it. So this document, this staff report refers to an agreement that that the city of Calexico has to enter with the,
Esperanza, try this other microphone, el de Carlos. Or do we want to give her the wire? ¿Quieres moverte acá, donde está el otro micrófono? Disculpe.
hopefully this works.
There you go.
That's, okay.
Yes.
So this item is related to an agreement of memorandum of understanding between the city of Calexico and the Calexico Certified Operators in regards to an existing contract, union contract. It was negotiated back in 2021. In the agreement and the memorandum of understanding, in the contract there was a clause that is called the Me Too clause. The Me Too clause means that in this particular case, that in that particular year they were not getting any increases, but they will, if any other unions, any other union will receive an increase in salary, this union automatically would receive that increase without hesitation. I was not aware of that clause. Some of the staff were not aware. I want to mention that this was approved back in 2021, and we received notification that we were in non-compliance with that clause, and for that reason, we had to come up with a settlement amount. The settlement amount for this particular clause costs the enterprise, and as you may remember, the enterprise is not part of the general fund. It's a separate account that has the water and the sewer facility. And so they have their own budget. So this $359,000 is the total cost of the negotiations and the pay of the that particular clause. So my recommendation is to never get into any similar clause because it's really costly. And so today we're requesting that you are in agreement with this memorandum of understanding. And so the number, the grievance settlement was 258, previous approval, and today's approval is for 101 for a total of 359,584. And like I said before, it's not a cost to general fund, but it's a cost to the budget of the enterprise. And remember, the budget of the enterprise is the one that impacts the water and the sewer. So we had to come out with a plan, and we're in the rate study process, And so this is gonna impact to that rate study for future billing, so that we can recover.
Say that again about the rate study.
Excuse me?
Say the part about the rate study. Oh,
We're doing a rate study. Every 5 years, the enterprise is required to have a rate study.
Yes.
The rate study is determined based on operations, maintenance, future improvements, capital improvements, reserves, and part of the operations is the staff. So this 359 is going to have an impact on the future rates of the water and the sewer.
To the citizens of Calexico. Yes, right. The water quantity that is.
Yes, it all depends how it goes, because we just began that study, and so this one is going to be impacting the rate in the future.
Sounds good.
Any increase in salaries and employments, it impacts the rate studies because it's part of the operation.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for making those notices. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move. Just one thing. Sorry, I'm sorry, Esperanza. I'll make a motion to approve just for clarification. So is your recommendation to approve the MOU based on?
We don't have an option.
So you're recommending?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because there was a settlement that we agreed,
Uh-huh.
and because of that clause, we had to honor the clause
Right.
that it was previously approved.
Okay. I make a motion to
by
approve.
Moreno, second by Ms. Romo. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the annual budget presentation, I do have one public speaker, but we'll take it, Mr. Pesqueira, after the presentation from Finance. Ms. Fonseca, adelante. Thank you. Mr. Moreno.
Good evening, Mayor and Council
Good evening.
staff and public that are watching us through Zoom. This presentation introduces the 2023-24 proposed annual budget. After receiving community departments and city council feedback, we were able to elaborate the proposed budget for your consideration and further recommendations, and to be able to adopt a resolution that we're scheduling on a special meeting on June 22nd. Esta presentación presenta la propuesta para el presupuesto anual para el 2023-24. Después de recibir comentarios de la comunidad, los departamentos y el Consejo Municipal, pudimos elaborar el presupuesto para su consideración y recomendaciones para poder adoptar una resolución programada para el 22 de julio del 23. The 2023-24 citywide budget proposes annual expenditures of $190 million. This includes general fund operating expenditures of $19 million, enterprise and other operations of $20 million, debt service of $4 million, and a capital improvement program of $146 million. El presupuesto municipal 23-24 propone gastos anuales de 190 millones, que esto se incluye en gastos operativos del Fondo General de 19 millones, operaciones empresariales y otras operaciones de 20 millones, servicio de la deuda 4 millones y un programa de mejoras de capital de 146 millones. Como lo pueden ver en la gráfica, es una gráfica donde da los porcentajes por proyecto. You skipped one, Gabby. Budget highlights. 2024 budget is balanced and preserves a 60-day fund balance reserve. The revenues continue to be modest, slowly, gradually going up. Departments requested a $9 million in new expenditures, will I'll be showing in a brief. Some requests have been moved for consideration to the ARPA fund, but most of the requests have been deferred. ARPA allocations updated to cover $1 million of the general fund equipment and capital replacements. Water, wastewater, solid waste programs assume customer fees increase of January 2024, and that is the rate study that Ms. Golia had mentioned earlier. For capital program, it includes a $46 million New River project, includes $25 million for the wastewater plan, phase 1, and does not cover the $7 million 5-year general fund capital requirements that the city needs. El presupuesto del 2024 es equilibrado y preserva la reserva del saldo del fondo a 60 días. Los ingresos continúan una modesta tendencia a la alza. Los departamentos solicitaron $9 millones en nuevos gastos. Algunas peticiones serán recomendadas para utilizar el ARPA, pero la mayoría fueron aplazadas. En otros programas, en los otros departamentos, se asignaron de ARPA actualizadas para cubrir $1 millón de equipo de fondo general, reemplazos de capital. Los programas de agua, aguas residuales y residuos sólidos asumen aumentos en las tarifas de los clientes en enero de 2024, cuando se termine el rate study que se está haciendo. El programa capital incluye proyectos del Río Nuevo de 46 millones, incluye 25 millones para el plan de aguas residuales, que será la fase 1. No incluyen 7 millones de requerimientos de capital del Fondo General en el plan de 5 años que se les promocionará. Next one, Gabby. The general fund balance trend, the combined general and Measure H fund balance reserves projected at $3 million continues an 8-year of improvement. The city has navigated its fiscal recovery and has reached the 60-day minimum operating reserve target recommended as an industry best practice by the Government Finance Officers Association. Como pueden ver, you can see on the graph, we are gradually going up. La reserva combinada del saldo de fondos general y la medida H, proyectada en 3 millones, continúa en el 8º año de mejora. La ciudad ha navegado por su recuperación fiscal y ha alcanzado el objetivo de reserva operativa mínima de 60 días, recomendado como una mejor práctica de la industria por la Asociación de Oficiales de Finanzas del Gobierno. General Fund revenues. General fund revenues are substantially derived from property and sales taxes. When combined with Measure H, they comprise 70% of the city's unrestricted revenues. The city's general fund revenues have increased by over $3 million, 18% over the last 4 years. The city's current budget limitations are not due to stringent or declining revenues. Los ingresos del Fondo General se derivan sustantáneamente de los impuestos a la propiedad y las ventas. Cuando se combinan con la medida H, comprenden el 70% de los ingresos sin restricciones de la ciudad. Los ingresos del Fondo General de la ciudad han aumentado en más de 3 millones, un 18%, en los últimos 4 años. Las limitaciones presupuestarias actuales de la ciudad no se deben al estancamiento o disminución de los ingresos. The general fund expenditures by type. The general fund expenditures are substantially used to pay for employee salaries, benefits, CalPERS pension funding, and retiree medical payments. All combined, as you can see on the graph, it's 70% of the expenses, while the remainder is for operating expenditures, including materials, maintenance, contracts, insurance, and office cost. Los gastos del Fondo General se utilizan sustantivamente para pagar los salarios de los empleados, los beneficios, los fondos de pensiones de CalPERS, el plan de retiro, y los pagos médicos de los jubilados. Todo eso combinado se hace un 77%, mientras que el resto es para gastos operativos que incluyen materiales, mantenimiento, contratos, seguros y costos de oficina. On this graph, you may see that the general fund expenditures by program, that most of the expenditures are for public safety. You can see the combination from police, fire, and all the rest of the departments in this pie. El presupuesto que se está dando asigna el 62% de los gastos a la seguridad pública para la comunidad de Calexico.
Ms. Fonseca, just for the public to be clarified, the police budget reflects traffic control expenses and animal control here?
On the public safety, it reflects police, animal control, traffic control, and fire.
Okay. So it appears here like the police is number one, but at least $1 million
Oh,
of
it's
that.
public safety. I mean,
Yeah.
they're combined
Sí, sí, sí.
because they're all safety.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Question on the housing item, what does that entail?
I'm sorry?
The housing item, you know, what you have right there before that. If you can go back, please.
This one, expenditures by program? Atrás, atrás.
Yes, as you may see, on 2023, we had a housing department budget for 149,000. For the proposed budget,
Right.
we don't have nothing.
Why is that?
Because that's the proposal that we voted, I believe it was last meeting when they eliminated that position in that department, those two positions in that department to be able to get the public works engineer.
Okay, so we'll see them later on the
Yes.
report. Okay. Just wanted to make that.
General fund revenue expenditures. The proposed 2023-24 budget balances expenditures within available revenues, which is necessary to preserve the city's newly rebuilt fund balance reserve. However, departments have identified an additional $9 million in staffing, operating, and capital expenditures that are not included to the proposed budget. These expenditures requests are detailed in the budget, but are deferred until sustainable revenues are available to support additional services. The following chart demonstrates the fiscal impact of the new budget along with the fiscal impact if all new department programs requests were implemented. And on the graph, you may see the red solid line. Those are the expenditures that we are being proposed. If we were to implement all the expenditures that the departments have requested and need, we would go all the way up, as you may see. El presupuesto propuesto para el 2023-24 equilibra los gastos dentro de los ingresos disponibles que son necesarios para preservar la reserva de saldo de fondos recientemente reconstruida de la ciudad. Sin embargo, los departamentos han identificado $9 millones adicionales en gastos en personal, operaciones y capital, que no se incluyen en el presupuesto propuesto. Estas solicitudes de gastos se detallan en su presupuesto, pero se aplazan hasta que se disponga de ingresos sostenibles para apoyar servicios adicionales. El siguiente cuadro muestra el impacto fiscal del nuevo presupuesto, que viene siendo la línea roja sólida, junto con el impacto fiscal si se implementaran todas las nuevas solicitudes, programas del departamento, que viene siendo la línea en líneas delgaditas.
Question on your trends, if we go back and look at 2021 year,
Ajá.
The expenditures actually were trending low on this graph.
Yes.
Was that due to COVID or specific
It was
reason?
for COVID, and because we were very conservative, the departments were very conservative on the expenses because we knew that the revenues were going to be, we didn't know exactly how the revenues would be because of COVID. Yes, and the departments have been very conservative with their expenses, even until now.
Because that was also when we were actually starting to increase our, when we were starting to save some of this money, our reserves, excuse me, that was the word I was looking for, when they started to trend a little bit up also. So since that time to now, it has now it's pairing with our revenues. So again, it just shows.
Yeah, as you may see when we do the quarterly reports, we, as a revenue right now, because we have so many needs in the departments, when we have revenues coming up, we try to give the departments to cover some of those expenses. So that's why you see right now that we have revenues and we're going with that, but we're not going beyond our reserves.
No, and I see that. I just wanted to see the trends and COVID versus non-COVID, and just getting back to business as usual, and moving forward how we have to continue to plan, because I'm sorry, probably, and that's what's going to be very interesting to see the next
And
in the
honestly,
proposals.
as you see, the lines are very close, and we have to be very careful because, as I'll mention on my next slides, the unfunded liability that we have to cover is going to exceed if we don't find revenues to help protect what we currently have.
So, if you recall, I mentioned to the city council. That sounds better.
No sirve. Déjate agarro, o siéntate acá.
Maybe
donde
you
hay
can try
micrófono.
this one. Oh, that one doesn't work. Is it on?
They do not work.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me? So if you recall, I mentioned to you that there are unfunded liabilities, vacations that have been accumulated, and many of the individuals that work for the city of Calexico have not been able to take vacation, especially the law enforcement portion, and we have a deficit of close to $2 million, and that's why we had to be very careful with the finances. We're trying to be as strict as possible, but also because we're in the middle of recession, so the revenues are not, we're trying to be as conservative as possible, just to be on the safe side.
Sí. Pregunta el regidor García, let me know if I'm not translating correctly. La razón por cual los gastos están llegando a la par de los ingresos. Comenta la señora Fonseca que tenía un efecto del COVID y prácticas que siguen siendo muy conservadoras, las prácticas de todos los departamentos en sus gastos. Comenta también la administradora Colio que tenemos ¿cómo se dice? Liabilities, tenemos obligaciones no cumplidas, es decir, que tenemos, por ejemplo, muchos empleados que han acumulado muchas horas de vacación, que al retirarse, pues tenemos que liquidar todas esas obligaciones. Ahorita están excediendo por ahí de $2 millones solamente en horas vacacionales, entonces tenemos que seguir siendo bastante conservativos con nuestros presupuestos para asegurar de que no nos llegue de sorpresa esas obligaciones al día que se tengan que liquidar.
And if I may, also, what I wanted to just kind of like have this as a segue into the next slides that you have, and for people to really put close attention as to what's coming up, you know, our projections, our liabilities and obligations that we're going to have now and in the future. So, de nuevo, esto lo quiso usar como un preludio a lo que ustedes van a ver en el siguiente presentaciones del presupuesto, de que dónde estamos, dónde vamos a estar con las obligaciones que tenemos, ¿verdad? Con las proyecciones que tenemos y cómo en realidad vamos a tener que planear nuestros gastos. Entonces, de poner atención a lo que viene, creo que lo que viene es lo más importante. Bueno, todo es importante, pero esto es lo que tenemos, los que proyectamos, pero esto es la realidad, lo que viene en las próximas
Filminas.
filminas. Thank you.
On these graphs, you may see the general fund budget request from the departments that they've submitted. It totaled up to 9.4 million in general fund budget request. We are funding $819. We are funding it through their operational departments. We are requesting from ARPA funds $1,043,258, and the remaining $8,097,392 will be remained as deferred. En esta gráfica pueden ver lo que los departamentos han presentado, que vienen siendo 9.4 millones de dólares en peticiones en el presupuesto para fondos generales. Los 261,819 van a ser financiados por los departamentos en su operación. Estamos pidiendo en fondos de ARPA 1,043,258 y el resto, que son 8,097,392, van a quedar deferidos.
Ms. Fonseca, I think that number was updated before discussion. It was updated to 899.
The ARPA funds? Okay.
Sí. No se ha actualizado, pero no son 1,043,000. Son la base que se está pidiendo para administración es 899.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
No, that's fine, and that's why we're having this presentation, so you can make any recommendations and we can make those changes before.
Yes, ma'am.
The following chart shows the general fund authorized staffing trend since 2015. The 2023-24 budget proposes one net general fund position for a grant-funded police officer. The program departments have submitted a request for an additional 56 general fund positions to improve city services levels. However, these staffing levels is not feasible with current revenues and benefit obligations. La siguiente gráfica muestra la tendencia de la dotación de personal autorizada del Fondo General desde el 2015. El presupuesto 2023-24 propone una nueva posición de Fondo General para un oficial de policía financiado por subvenciones. Los departamentos han presentado peticiones para 56 puestos adicionales del Fondo General para mejorar los niveles de servicio de la ciudad. Sin embargo, este nivel de dotación de personal no es factible con los ingresos actuales y las obligaciones de beneficios.
Is it 56 or 57?
I'm sorry?
Is it 56 or 57?
56.
Because right there on top it said 57.
Oh, then I did a typo on my notes. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
So it must be, yes, 57. I'm sorry. I was doing this morning, my
Okay.
translations and my...
No se preocupe.
You skipped one, Gabby. I wouldn't. There. Yes. ARPA updates. As a temporary solution, ARPA revenue loss grant funds were recently allocated to the current 2022-23 budget year to address urgent repairs to city facilities. And this 2023-24 budget proposes additional ARPA allocations for key general fund capital and one-time expenditures. Como solución temporal, los fondos de subvención de pérdida de ingresos de ARPA se asignaron recientemente en el año actual 2022-23 para abordar reparaciones urgentes a las instalaciones de la ciudad. Y este presupuesto 2023-24 propone asignaciones adicionales de ARPA para capital claves del Fondo General y gastos únicos. Yeah, just there. As you may see, this is the long list that we have from general fund, unfunded capital, and one-time requests from the departments. It totals up to more than $3 million. On behalf of the departments, as you can see, some of these requests that they're asking are necessities. We currently have employees driving very old cars that could actually be a liability for the city, or the equipment that they currently use, the safety, or the fire department. As well in public works and recreation, as you can see, there's various needs on each department that I request that you consider when we have those funds available. En esta lista pueden ver todas las cosas, peticiones que pidieron los departamentos que son de una sola vez o de capital. Como pueden ver, es una lista muy larga y son necesidades que realmente necesitan los departamentos. Tenemos empleados manejando carros muy viejos y que cada rato tienen que ocupar reparaciones, al igual que los equipos que usan los policías y los bomberos. Y también tenemos, que es nuestro trabajo diario, las computadoras que tenemos en los departamentos que no están actualizadas y están muy viejas. Entonces, sí, les pido por favor de que tomen en consideración cuando podamos tener unos pocos de ingresos, que podamos de esos deferred traerlos a la mesa. Gabby. And this is the long-term operating debt that the city currently has. As you may see, most of the biggest part of the liability is for the CalPERS unfunded liability. The city has accumulated unfunded pension and retiree medical obligations that have been earned by employees in prior fiscal years. These benefits face growing annual cash flow requirements that constrain the city's ability to sustain existing service levels and the ability to add new staffing. The general fund share of pension costs are projected to increase from $2 million to cover the fund share of pension costs as projected to increase, from $2 million to over $3 million during the next 5 years. During 2022-23, the city took action to establish an OPEB Section 115 trust designed to lower the long-term cost of retiree medical costs by investing current funds and generating investment income to pay for future benefits similar to the CalPERS pension structure. And also, we adopted in 2022-23 an ISF fund for those unfunded accruals that we will be paying once people retire. La ciudad ha acumulado pensiones no financiados y obligaciones médicas de jubilados que han sido ganados por los empleados en años fiscales anteriores. Estos beneficios enfrentan crecientes requerimientos anuales de flujo de efectivo que limitan la capacidad de la ciudad para mantener los niveles de servicio existentes y la capacidad de agregar nuevo personal. Se prevé que la parte correspondiente al Fondo General de los Costos de las Pensiones aumente de $2 millones a más de $3 millones durante los próximos 5 años. Durante el año 2022-23, la ciudad tomó medidas para establecer un fideicomiso de la sección 115 de OPED diseñado para reducir el costo a largo plazo de los costos médicos de los jubilados, invirtiendo fondos actuales y generando ingresos de inversión para pagar beneficios futuros, similar a la estructura de pensiones de CalPERS. Al igual que también pusimos un fondo para los gastos de cuando se vayan a pensionar las gentes del tiempo acumulado que tienen en la ciudad. Son las medidas que hemos hecho en la ciudad.
When she's done. At the end.
You have any question? Oh.
No, when you're done.
Okay.
Thank you.
General Fund 5-year projection, including Measure H. The long-term general fund forecast relies upon new annual development revenues growing from $1 million to $1.8 million over the next 5 years to sustain current operations and staffing. The increasing 5-year revenue requirements are primarily due to the $1 million growth in annual CalPERS payments over this period to amortize unfunded pension costs. The proposed budget includes resources to focus on planning, engineering, and building operations to maximize revenue opportunities. El pronóstico a largo plazo del Fondo General se basa en que los nuevos ingresos anuales para el desarrollo aumenten de $1 millón a $1.8 millones en los próximos 5 años para mantener las operaciones y la dotación de personal actual. Los crecientes requisitos de ingresos de 5 años se deben principalmente al crecimiento de $1 millón o más en los pagos anuales de CalPERS, el plan de retiro, durante este periodo para amortizar los costos de pensiones no financiados. El presupuesto propuesto incluye recursos para centrarse en las operaciones de planificación, ingeniería y construcción para maximizar las oportunidades de ingresos. This is why I've been telling you it's very important that we get revenue to the city.
That's what I was going to say. We'll talk about that right after the presentation.
Capital program. The proposed 2023-24 capital program invests $146 million into the community through over 60 capital projects. The 5-year capital program totals $195 million. Funding is from water, wastewater bonds, customer fees, grants, and development fees. These projects support the City Council objectives of maintaining and improving the key infrastructure and facilities of the city engineering staff additions that are being proposed to implement these projects. El programa de capital propuesto para el 2023-24 invierte $146 millones en la comunidad a través de más de 60 proyectos de capital. El programa de capital de 5 años asciende a $195 millones. El financiamiento proviene de bonos de agua, aguas residuales, tarifas de clientes, subvenciones y tarifas de desarrollos. Estos proyectos apoyan los objetivos del Consejo Municipal de mantener y mejorar la infraestructura e instalaciones clave de la ciudad. Se proponen adiciones de personal de ingeniería para ejecutar estos proyectos. You skip one, Gabby. Citywide staffing updates. Department submitted 63 new positions request, 57 general fund, and 6 from other funds. The budget includes for 7.5 of these requests. As you may see, one is the police officer, which is grant funded. 3.5 are for gas tax program, the street maintenance workers. And 3 positions are for the public works engineering department. And as you may see, Lily had to give up on the project coordinator as well, and she's also giving up her 1 meter readers to be able to accommodate for these requests that she has asked. Las actualizaciones de personal en toda la ciudad. Los departamentos presentaron 63 nuevas posiciones de puestos, 57 del Fondo General y 6 de otros fondos. El presupuesto incluye fondos para 7.5 de estas peticiones, lo cual una es el oficial de policía, que será por grants, street, gente de mantenimiento de la calle, que son 3.5, y el proyecto que hemos estado hablando del departamento de ingeniería, que no pudiera solo, tiene que tener más otros personal en su departamento, y son 3 personas, lo cual sí quisiera dar la anotación de que Lili, para poder llegar a este objetivo, dio de baja a project coordinator y un meter reader para poder sostener este departamento. Budget policy, budget resolution updates. On this screen, you may see that we have implemented a reserve policy. The general fund in Major H working capital reserve is now for 60 days of operations. The emergency reserve 5-year target is for 8 days of operations. Other operations, gas, tax, airport, and our internal service funds, 30 days of operations. Water, wastewater enterprise, it's at 50% operating budget. And local capital fund at $250,000. Other policies that we have implemented and are implementing in this budget: annual revenue report with status of user fees. The Spanish translation that we're currently doing with our quarterly and right now with our proposal for the budget. And status of financial records.
Excuse me, Ms. Fonseca, are you saying that we are pre-budgeting new funds for translation? ¿Estamos poniendo nuevos fondos para traducción?
No, what I'm saying is that the state auditors gave some recommendations, and one of the recommendations was for us to have anything that had to do financially in translation in Spanish, English, which we have been implementing since, I believe, the second quarter.
Okay, sounds good.
And it's just a policy that we're implementing. Actualizaciones de la política presupuestales, resolución. La resolución propuesta actualiza la reserva de la ciudad y otras políticas presupuestales para reflejar las recomendaciones en el 2022 por el auditor estatal según el plan de acción correctiva de la auditoría. Las políticas de reserva, el Fondo General y Medida H, la reserva de capital de 60 días de operación. La reserva de emergencia, objetivo a 5 años, 8 días de operaciones. Otras operaciones, impuestos sobre la gasolina, aeropuerto, ISF, 30 días de operaciones. Fondos de agua y residuales, 50% del presupuesto operativo. Y fondo de capital local con 250,000. Otras políticas que también ya estamos adoptando son informe anual de ingresos con el estado de las tarifas de usuario, traducción en español los estados financieros y estado de los registros financieros. These were the recommendations that we received from the state auditors that we're implementing and we are adopting in our resolution.
Excellent.
just one more. Ya mero.
Sí, no se preocupe.
There was one that said next, okay, I'll just go over it. Oh, that one. The next steps. I just presented the proposed budget. We are scheduling a special meeting, if possible, to adopt the budget on June 22nd, a Thursday. And on October 18th, I'm tentatively I'll be presenting the first quarter report, and we'll be giving you the results for the sales tax for June 30th, 2023. And I'll be providing the first draft of 22-23 year-end results. Los próximos pasos, a la presentación del proyecto de presupuesto, lo cual acabo de terminar. Aprobación del presupuesto por el Consejo Municipal. Estamos programados tentativamente para el 22 de junio. Informe del primer trimestre 23-24. Hacerlo el 18 de octubre, al cual en ese mismo tiempo daré los resultados de impuestos sobre las ventas para el trimestre del 30 de junio y el primer borrador de resultados de fin de año del 22-23. So, do you have any questions, any recommendations that you want to?
I do definitely have a straightforward proposal for how we can move around these ARPA funds. Would council like me to make that first before discussion, or discussion first?
If you might.
Sí, of course.
Yeah, couple of clarifications. You already answered one of them. I had 3 questions, but you already answered one of them. The second one is on the general fund revenue expenditures slide. So there is departments have requested an additional 9 million in program expenditures. Just, I guess the question is for the city managers. Just a summary of what would some of the expenditures be?
Excuse me, Gabby,
Is it-
can you put?
They're
can you
itemized?
put, I have a sheet details. I kind of that you guys would be requesting to find out more about the details.
Is on the unfunded capital one-time
It's,
request?
It's page, I don't know, it doesn't. It's the ARPA updates and then the second one. This one and the next one.
And then that one is very detailed, the other one that I have.
Okay.
Is the one we,
Okay, she's gonna put it.
yeah. And it's also on your budget book, that detailed list. That one,
That one.
yes. As,
The- These are all the departments we have that requested an additional $9 million, right?
yes, those are all. Huh? No, well, with the staffing and the, yeah, with everything. Mhm. Yes, you can see way on top, it's $4 million on the staffing that the departments requested. And then a little below that, and you'll be able to see them by the actual department and a detailed description of what their needs are.
Are those expenditures justified using ARPA funds or no? Or we are using some funds from
We
that?
are using some
Okay,
already.
but then they don't all cover, right?
I mean, we could use ARPA for anything,
Uh-huh.
because we used it as a loss revenue, but that would be your discretion and how much.
Okay.
The one thing that I want to make sure that we all understand is we cannot finance new positions
Yes, that we
with the
cannot.
one-time money, because new position we have to ensure that we have enough budget in the future, because those positions will continue. So that becomes a liability for the city.
Right.
And that's the reason why none of the positions are being connected to the ARPA funds.
Right.
It's only one-time expenditures. The departments require like equipment, trucks, materials. Those are the only things that we're requesting on the ARPA, because it's a one-time
So
expenditure.
doing that prevents us from liabilities.
Yes,
One time.
technically, we don't have enough budget under the general fund
Right.
to cover the needs of the department. And that's the reason why we're requesting $899,000 out of the ARPA money to make up for the other needs that we had that we cannot cover for this year.
Right. And it's important for the citizens to know that
Yes.
because there's, I don't know if it's a misunderstanding, misconception, whatever it is, and we try to do, and I take it, thank you for doing an excellent job of the budget proposal and all. It's a lot of moving parts here, but I think it's important that there's somewhere, people think that, there's money, they can pay for this. Well, it's not that, we have to do a balance and checks. And some of the things, because if it wasn't for an ARPA, we wouldn't be having those.
So I'm just going to give you an example. We included in the $899,000 equipment for the fire department. Fire department is a service to the public. It's a service to the public, and it's a one-time expenditure. We need tanks, we need equipment for them to continue operating.
Yep.
Under our budget that we have right now, with the revenues that we're expecting, we're not going to be able to accomplish purchasing those equipment and providing those services. So we need to make sure that we have enough funding, and that's what we're requesting, this injection of funding that is perceived for the public, but all those services are for the public.
Right.
Fire department, police department are for the public.
One more.
Go ahead.
The last one, on the general fund, unfunded capital one-time request. So I was noticing here, you have all the departments here, I understand it's HR. It says classification compensation studies, 160,000. I just want to ask that, why is that necessary? That expenditure?
Which one?
The compensation study.
The compensation study, why is that 160? Why is it necessary to do a study?
But that was not funded.
No, it's not funded.
It's not funded, it's in the future. So what we need to do, because it hasn't been done, our HR department is for the most super busy. And there are only 3 people in the department. Lately 3 people, but 2 people for a long time. Every time that we have to change the scope of the job description of a position, we also have to do some sort of like a study to see what that position should be paying.
Right.
As you may know, the county is going to do a whole survey of departments and positions and everything. We need to do the same thing. However, this is not in the priorities right now for this year, but we put it in the 5-year plan.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
it's
That's all I have.
important for us to
Yep.
ensure that our personnel are getting paid as much as we can, the fair share for their job, for their position.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Moreno. At this point, just to focus in the conversation on the decisions that we have to make for right now, before we even open up the comments about future and how we're going to get to the rest of the priorities, I would like to speak to a proposal that I think is balanced, knowing that this conversation will resurface in October and every quarter thereafter until we find out how to meet these requirements and things that we have to purchase, right? What I would propose, if I may, I would propose, there's 78, and if we can go to page 133 on the budget. On the budget? Yeah.
That's the other one that we just see.
And keep the presentation handy, because I'll refer to it right now. All the way at the bottom of that page. And if we could zoom in a little bit in un momento. I'll stand up ahorita. This last part right here, esta parte de aquí, es lo que administración está pidiendo para este año. Obviamente va a ser una conversación fluida en octubre. A fin de cuentas tenemos que ver cómo financiar todo esto a lo largo de 5 años, el año que entra y todo. Pero quiero hablar esta propuesta porque a lo mejor satisface lo más necesario de ahorita. Items, yes?
I want to clarify the list that you've seen over here.
Yes.
It's already included in our budget, in our proposal.
Yes, exactly. So
Yes.
I'm going to make a proposal to modify this.
To modify that
Yes.
one.
And
Okay.
slightly and mainly rearranging some internal funds that have already been approved.
I was, okay.
Yeah. If I may.
Yes, no, yes, by all means.
So items 1, 2, and 3 that are being requested by the police, they total $78,000. $78,000. There's at least one admin vehicle, and I'm referring to the list of the unfunded stuff. There's an admin vehicle that is needed for the next police chief. That's $75,000. Out of this list, on number 6, we have this animal control truck that is $80,000. Already, that's a total of $233,000. If we go back, can you pull up the presentation on this one, unfunded one-time requests? Yes, go ahead. I'll repeat in Spanish while you do that. En esta lista, la lista que acabamos de ver, hay 3 grupos o categorías. Primero son unos peticiones de la policía, $78,000. Vamos a ocupar un vehículo de administración, $75,000, y un troque de animal control, $80,000. Vamos hablando de $233,000. Ahorita voy a señalar aquí otras cosas importantes. Page General Fund, Unfunded Capital and One Time.
After ARPA updates.
Yes, the ones that didn't make it to the first list. Adelante. By type, keep going. To that very dry list with no colors.
Next one, right
That
there.
one.
Yeah.
Previous? Out of right here, if you group together police equipment, gear, and firearms, not the gas masks, those ones total to $156,000. And those are important, 156 operating expenses. And then you group together community center, art center stage lighting, the ceiling panels, and the computer replacement for recreation, $45K, you have a total of $403,000. Can we go back to the page 133? Poniendo en grupo necesidades de la policía y algunas de recreación, son $156,000 y $45,000, con un total de $403,000. Las señalo como cosas importantes que deberemos considerar para esta discusión. 403, 403. Coming into this, if you could zoom out a little bit and go to the very top of this page. Okay, yes. Hasta mero arriba. $403,000 could be financed with $292,000 from the SUV budget, which we can defer, and eventually we'll have funds to repurchase those in the future. $292,000 from SUV. The $91K from the truck, we've already established, or Police Chief Serrano established, that in an urban environment, we don't need trucks. If anything, we need SUV cruisers or sedan cruisers. Estamos hablando de $292,000 de los carros de la policía que nos han comprado, $91,000 de la troca, que el Police Chief Serrano, el jefe de policía, ha señalado que en un ambiente urbano pues no ocupamos una troca, ocupamos a lo mejor sedanes o SUVs. $91,000, $292,000. Y si le pellizcas $20,000 de aquí de los asylum seekers, que sabemos que vamos a, primeramente Dios, hoy es 15 estatal, vamos a recibir fondos del Estado. Ahí financiarías esos $403,000 sin tocar del mismo, de lo que está ya puesto para la policía. Podemos financiar todas esas cosas
Okay.
hoy. ¿Sí?
Okay, I just want to clarify what you
Sí, y
request.
eso va en el otro.
So let me see if I understand what you're requesting.
Yes.
What you're requesting is from the original approval for trucks under the police department
Yes.
to reverse that approval
Mhm.
and to use that approval funds to approve which items on the list?
To approve these following items.
Okay,
It would-
can you go by one by
by
one
one?
so that we
Yes.
can ensure that we taking the right notes and make the
Yes.
changes?
Yes, of course, of
Thank
course.
you.
And just to be very clear, it's just a swap of buying
Yes.
equipment first.
Uh-huh.
We'll eventually get to the cars, but in the next subsequent quarters as
Okay.
money comes in. On your page 133, we're specifically referring to items number 1, number 2, number 3, number 7, to be part of those 403,000. Okay? And then from the unfunded,
Okay,
which is the other one,
yes.
it's the police equipment, 64, police gear, 40, firearms and ammunition, 42,000. And then you have a couple of urgent ones in recreation, which is their computers, their ceiling panels for the seniors, and the stage lighting.
Hold on 1 second.
Si.
So there's under recreation, we have 10 million, 10,000?
Yes, 10,000 computers,
Okay,
20,000 ceiling panels, and 15K for the stage. What is that program that requires stage lighting, Norma? It's the art center, but there's a specific. It's not opera. It's theater, right? The theater program. Yes, that would be enabled by this.
okay.
Uh-huh.
So we have, under recreation is $10,000 for computer replacement, community center ceiling panels replacement, $20,000,
Mhm.
and art center stage lighting, $15,000,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, and that total, and then from the revenues, so that totals 403,000.
I think we're missing the one truck on the top.
Oh, the admin vehicle.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, okay.
75K.
So, one truck on the top list, from the top 3 items requested on the top list, one of
Mhm.
the vehicles, police equipment at $63,000, 704, police gear, 39,825, and firearms, ammunition, 42,902, and that
Mhm.
will do the switch for
Yes.
the other funding, okay.
And so those items mentioned total 403,000 on the expense side.
Okay.
On the revenue side, it would be simply 91K truck, 292 SUVs, and then 20K asylum. Since we're probably not going to get you using those full 200K, that will
Which
total.
is item number 1, 2, 3, and 7. 1, 2, 3, and 7. Sí, dígame.
Oh, okay, yes.
Ah,
Los departamentos.
Esa lista se preparó basado en todos los pedidos que hicieron cada uno de los departamentos.
¿Y usted la supervisó?
Entre el Departamento de Finanzas y yo revisamos la lista de
Bueno.
todos los pedidos que hicieron y
Le
lo
voy a decir
único
algo.
que no incluimos fue las posiciones. Esas no están en esta lista.
Ok, las posiciones, olvídese, necesita usted vender casi la media ciudad de Calexico para que
Ok.
pueda tener esas posiciones.
Muy bien.
Con mucho respeto, al respeto al mayor. Esas cuestiones contables, estas nada más son pronósticos, ¿no? Y yo respeto mucho esta lista, porque sé que la hizo usted con la señora Sandy, porque es lo que ocupa la población de aquí, de la ciudad, de los trabajadores. Entonces, el que el mayor o yo o cualquiera de los 5 estemos diciéndole a qué va a primer lugar o segundo lugar, no es nuestra tarea. Para eso está usted aquí como administradora. Yo no me meto, perdóneme, pero la estoy mirando, sí, primero uno, luego el otro, luego acá y allá. Digo, no se trata de eso, señora. Se trata que usted, cuando administre la ciudad, sepa, como sé que lo sabe, qué son los gastos más prioritarios que usted tiene. No el que yo le diga ni el mayor, porque nosotros no trabajamos aquí. El presupuesto usted lo distribuye, usted lo presenta. Lo que tiene que saber la población es que este es un presupuesto, nada más es un presupuesto razonable. En todo el mundo, y más aquí en los Estados Unidos, estos presupuestos son como para ver cómo le vamos a hacer para gastar determinados revenues o ingresos y cómo lo vamos a gastar, eso es todo. Ahora, aquí lo más importante es saber cómo nos va a ir en el año, porque todo esto cambia. Día con día este presupuesto va a estar cambiando. Yo le pido a mis compañeros que tengamos un poco de respeto a la administración, que igual lo vamos a cambiar. Yo espero que haya proyectos y desarrollos como los tenemos planeados. A veces gastamos mucho tiempo en estar mirando otras cosas que nos quitan el tiempo y no nos traen beneficios, ¿no? He hablado aquí presente con la señora Norma. ¿Cuántas veces tengo hablando con usted hace 2 años? Tenemos, por ejemplo, no he visto aquí el proyecto como yo lo quería ver de ARPA. ARPA hemos sacado fondos que eran para hicimos todo un show aquí, vino la gente, vino la población, de cómo íbamos a gastar ARPA. Bueno, aquí está todo distribuido, yo ya hasta me perdí con los 3 pesos de ARPA. Entonces, yo creo que lo que tenemos que hacer es aceptar esta propuesta que se nos hace, porque va a haber cambios en todo el año. Yo tengo fe de que cada uno de los departamentos no solamente podemos bajar grants, sino que tenemos que tener desarrollo económico aquí, porque si no, no vamos a hacer nada en esta ciudad, ¿no? Y pelearlos con esto. No, es que yo estoy viendo que está tomando usted un lugar, con todo respeto, que no le corresponde. Este es un lugar, la administradora está exponiendo esto.
Voy a comentar, voy a terminar mi propuesta.
Mejor usted póngase administrador, porque sinceramente
Esta es una pequeña modificación para poder darle a la policía lo que ocupa en este momento.
La policía se le va a dar todo lo que ocupe.
Sí, pero
Un recordatorio bien rapidito. Si ustedes se fijan en Google, las responsabilidades de City Council, la número 1, review and approve annual budget, que es lo que estamos haciendo ahorita. Hacer propuestas es literalmente nuestro trabajo también.
Okay, antes de que nos metamos en el tema, voy a terminar, porque es una pequeña modificación, como lo digo. Es aceptar en mayoría lo que está proponiendo la señora Colio, pero agregarle una manera que puede financiar ciertas cosas de esta lista que sabemos que son
si lo aceptamos
muy
3, está bien.
Exactamente. Entonces, basado en lo que he dicho, el monto de 899 que están pidiendo realocar bajaría hasta 741, más o menos los 50,000 si el planning consultant verdaderamente se ocupa en ese momento.
I think I missed something.
Sí.
So I thought that you were approving the 899 as presented, and that you adding additional purchases for the police department and recreation department by switching, by flipping some of the ARPA funds.
It is both. So you are financing out of your list of 899, you are financing part of it from another place, an existing budget, and you're adding things that you were not going to.
Okay, so which are the items on the ones that we're proposing, the 899 that you're moving away, so that I can understand, because I missed that part,
Oh, yes,
that portion.
yes.
Okay.
Todo lo demás, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 7, gets funded from some other place, right? But the rest of them, it would be to proceed as planned here.
Okay, so can you go back to, I'm getting lost, and can you go back to this list?
Yes.
This $899,000 is the one that we are proposing and we're including in the proposed budget.
Yes.
Esta es la lista que nosotros estamos proponiendo e incluyendo en el presupuesto. De esa lista, específicamente de esta lista, estoy entendiendo que me están bajando el presupuesto de esa lista. ¿Qué cosas me están...?
No,
Okay.
eso no es correcto.
Okay.
Aquí, en bueno, ¿dónde está? Por eso ocupamos un poquito de tecnología para
Sí,
trabajar.
a ver, es
Si
que no me estoy
No
confundiendo.
nos vamos a entender.
Ok.
Ok. Haz de cuenta hasta
Gabby,
mero abajo.
can you go all the way down?
All the
La,
way
Where
down?
the-
la
where the
presentación.
proposed-
Okay.
yeah.
Ok, aquí. El número 1, 2, 3 y 7. 1, 2, 3 y 7 los vas a financiar del swap que estoy hablando. ¿Sí?
The swap that we're gonna be taking from the 91,000
truck,
from the
the
top
SUV,
truck and
the
the
asylum.
292 from the vehicles for the police.
And 20K from Asylum.
Asylum, 23.
20.
I'm sorry, 20, okay.
Ajá, that should total the 403. Y eso baja tu request a 741. The rest of the items there. So they still get funded.
Well, and so technically, we are still doing them through ARPA, but
Yes.
you're allocating from other places.
Yes. We're reallocating
From
first
other
before.
funds, not only from downtown and,
Sí, sí,
okay.
sí. So es la
Okay.
misma propuesta.
I think it's easier to remove those items from the downtown and just replace it with the other one. That's what I was getting confused.
Sí, 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 sí.
Okay.
Pero es la misma gata pero revolcada, pues.
Okay.
Bueno, yo sé que, yes, I know. Pasa por un lado y luego por el otro.
So the bottom line is, all the requests that we made are gonna get approved.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
we're just using, instead of downtown, we're using part of the funding that is in 1,
First,
2,
the cup
3,
cars.
and 7.
Mm.
Okay.
And also using the cup cars so that you can finance some things that you were not going to finance.
Yes, we
which-
just wanna make sure that
yes.
what we requested, it was like the bare
I know,
bones
yes, no, yes.
items that are crucial for the survival of the
Queda,
city.
queda igual.
It
Yo-
doesn't mean,
And I want to clarify,
Sí.
it doesn't mean that all the requests are not important. They are
They are.
equally important, but this one, we ask the departments to prioritize the needs, and these are crucial for compliance. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what is important for us to have the police equipment. How do we expect our cops to be on the streets and not being
That- that-
operated?
that
We
is-
didn't put it on the list because basically what we're saying is we have
Aguanta,
an
aguanta.
all equipment.
Aguanta porque ya vamos para otro lado.
Okay,
That's why I'm saying the equipment, the firearms, and the gear get funded from that
Okay.
swap. So we're deferring the vehicles out a couple quarters. That's all it is. We're putting the equipment first, and then the vehicles from funds as they come.
So that one's like you just said, we're adding.
yes, okay.
Well, yeah, okay. And that's pretty much my proposal. I don't know if, just open up for discussion. Sí, 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 y lo podemos. Sí, sí, sí. Okay. Comentarios. Yo sé que hay ya abrir para una discusión más larga porque hay mucho
Es que
de
debe
qué
de haber
hablar.
un taller antes de hacer esto. Debe de haber un taller,
Sí, sí, sí.
que es lo que se hace en todas partes, y yo no he visto un taller aquí desde que entré.
Sí, yo sé.
¿No?
No tenemos
No
directora
se
de
trata,
finanzas.
sí, no, pero sí se puede hacer un taller. La señora Colio está muy preparada para eso. Tú sabes de presupuesto, yo sé de presupuesto. O sea, se puede hacer un taller. Yes.
Taller de 2 en
Para
2.
que todos,
Ok. Sí.
para que todos opinen, para que a lo mejor el señor Camilo tiene unas ideas de
Sí, sí,
mover algunas cosas también, y todos tenemos unas ideas, ¿no?
De acuerdo, hay que dar la dirección de que para el próximo
Lo mejor sería un
cuatrimestre
taller.
hay que desarrollar talleres with the council members so we can
Para que todos
yeah,
participen.
so we can have these proposals we can have various options instead of being up here moving things around last minute. It's always important, como dice la señora Romo, de ver la propuesta escrita y que hayan diversas propuestas que podamos dialogar antes de llegar aquí.
O hacemos un taller público.
Y también,
Como quieras.
sí, un taller público también
También
sería
se pudiera.
excelente idea, la verdad, porque tenemos que llegar a participación de la comunidad.
Entonces sometemos tu
La
propuesta,
propuesta.
¿verdad?
Bueno, that motion that I've described, I'll make it formally if there's a second.
Second.
And just so to open up discussion.
Yeah,
To
because
open up
this one we
discussion.
don't.
So that we can discuss freely in the motion, yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay, and I'll just open up for free discussion at this point, just putting that on the table. Adelante, whoever wants to speak first.
Just for the sake of transparency and reminding people where this money is coming from, ¿Nos puede clarificar de dónde está saliendo? This is coming out of whatever was remaining from downtown ARPA and parks ARPA, right?
Yes, but with the change that was made now, $78,000 are gonna go back to downtown, and we're gonna take it from item 1, 2, 3, and 7.
So how much is going to remain for downtown ARPA?
Well, we had to do the
We
calculations
need
and
to
bring
make
back,
calculations to give
and
you
bring
the
back
numbers.
the budget for you. With the changes that you're requesting today, we're gonna have to restructure again and bring you whatever's left in each one of those accounts.
So with this proposal, how much is left in ARPA?
With this proposal, you have.
How much is left for parks ARPA?
El monto que se está pidiendo no se ha definido. en pocas
No, yo
palabras.
sé que es una propuesta. That's why I want to know if we approve this as it is, right? Like rubber stamp it. I want to know con esos números cuánto quedó para el downtown, cuánto quedó
Es lo que te
del
Sí,
parque.
es lo que, you know what?
To the workshop for.
Yeah, let's just give direction to, it would be better to give direction to put this on paper and bring it for the next meeting?
Sí.
Would
Yes,
that be better?
because what we can
Yeah.
do, we
Sí,
can do an
complete.
interactive
So it can-
spreadsheet, and
Yes.
when you start moving the items,
Ajá.
and then you will know at that moment what is the balance on each one of them as we move the items through the spreadsheet.
But
It's easier.
to answer the councilman's question, at the end of the day, con ese movimiento de los cop cars, at the end of the day, the ask gets reduced from $8.99 to $7.41, y ahí nosotros decidimos de dónde va a salir. Todavía no se ha especificado. Y tomando en cuenta that we also have to decide of the $500,000 that are coming back from the fire station, ¿dónde los vamos a poner para atrás? Esa es otra decisión que se tiene que hacer. I'm actually going to, I'll retract my motion, and
No, está bien, correcto.
I would just like to make that into direction to put that on paper for next meeting.
So we bring this. So let me see if I understand correctly. We bring all the changes that you're proposing today,
Mhm.
because today's there's no action, they just
No, it's just a
recommendation.
discussion, yes.
So we're gonna make all those changes, and we're gonna bring it back to you and give you the balances of each one of the accounts and which items are being approved completely, okay?
And call it like an option B. So this one is option A, then
Uh-huh,
there's option
and
B.
then the option
And
B.
if somebody else in the meantime, between those meetings comes up with an option C, we can also put that out there.
Okay,
¿Sí?
sounds good.
Adelante, Regidor, sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay. Yeah, just because my concern and I want people to realize is that este dinero is coming from somewhere, right? No nomás es dinero que llovió de la nada. It's not that we have an extra fund and revenue. These are money that we received through the pandemic, and the people overwhelmingly spoke against the originally proposed city plan for ARPA. And the people said, nosotros queremos Plan B, which was $3 million for downtown, which is already gutted in several ways, unfortunately. And it was close to $1 million in parks, and then that's also gutted in several ways. I understand that a lot of these are needs. I'm seeing the breathing apparatus. I spoke with the fire chief, and he showed me how they're almost expired. Some of them expired, so I understand that those are crucial, and I'm not opposed to funding those. Pero when we are gutting ARPA, because really that's what we're doing. Like, let's be honest here. To buy chairs, to paint the exterior of the city hall, that doesn't seem like a priority to me. ¿Verdad? La ciudad se está cayendo, and it's a horrible image for us to spend money painting the exterior of the city hall. ¿Verdad? I understand that there's sewer and gas lines, that's fine. I don't agree with the exterior paint for City Hall. No sé cuánto es de que se tenga que hacer decrease in that amount. I don't know if there's any estimates, if it's just rough estimates. Because at the end of the day, like if we put the RFP, it might come back that it's not even 140,000, it might be even more. And then we're gonna be back here, and we're gonna have to gut something else to fund that. And I mean, honestly, it's kind of a disservice to the people. I understand that some of these is like breathing apparatus for the fire department. Some options for the police is crucial for the police. For the citizen safety. But a lot of this just seems like the people want parks. That they've always been overwhelmingly vocal about that, time and time again. As soon as there's something proposed of touching the people's parks, este lugar se llena. and they're super vocal about it. What is here that's for the people for parks improvement? The lawnmowers, and that's like really not getting funded, ¿verdad? Están unfunded. So in the proposed accepted ones list, ¿qué es lo que la gente recibe en parques aquí? Is there not one item for parks improvement in this?
For the most part, the parks allocation is not touched by the proposal. Well, I mean, that's up to us to decide.
Right now, we're currently doing it from the downtown,
Yes.
most of it.
Yes, most of it from downtown. Not counting the 500K that is coming back,
Correct.
that we have to allocate. And I highly suggest we allocate it to parks.
I agree, pero I have several concerns about this. I definitely agree with Councilmember Sureña's direction to still fund these needs, but from other sources, right? Some of these things can wait a quarter, they can wait 2 quarters. I'm not sure if those chairs are falling apart at the seams at the moment. Maybe they are.
talk on behalf of them, yes, they are.
Pero right, like I haven't even.
And they sit 12 hours or more
Sí,
on those
porque
chairs.
for example, cuando Councilmember Ureña made the motion to approve or fund the community center ceiling panels, I'm in agreement because I've seen them, and that community center is used by seniors all the time, every single day. It worries me that those ceiling panels, the old, que están todos mojados, they possibly have mold in them, like, digo, I hope not. Pero, so that worries me, that is a priority to me, que se cambien esos techos. I would love to have actually that is being proposed actually here, the community center repavement, because that's also a priority to me. As we know, seniors use this parking lot, no quiero que, because that parking lot, I live less than a block away, so I know how horrible that parking lot is. It's a surprise that we haven't had accidents there. Pero at the end of the day, I understand that some of these are completely crucial to some departments. I definitely agree that we should still keep the option for the planning consultant, the 50K, just because we know that these are investments that we can obtain revenue from. Pero those are my thoughts on this. It just seems like, because también, how much have we spent on from ARPA just fixing city buildings, ¿verdad?
Yes.
Like over $1 million.
2 million almost. It was like 2 million plus.
And this is, a lot of this is like more of that. It just seems like ARPA wasn't meant for that. That's what other cities are doing, and they're getting horrible like equity scores on how they're using ARPA, which is like, vamos a tapar todos los hoyos de la ciudad. And the people, they don't see anything. ¿Verdad? Cuando salen a la, ponle que arreglamos a City Hall. People are not going to see that. People want to see their parks. That's a visual investment that they want to see improved because they use that. ¿Verdad? And I'm not seeing that here. Pero, like I said, I understand I'm not opposed to anything. Not opposed to everything that's here. But those are just my thoughts on this, on what we're doing with ARPA at the moment.
Excellent. We do have two public comments, but I'd like to just submit that one of administration's objectives was to keep this under $1 million because there is some work that we have to do to specifically get that water tower funds into the coffers, right? That's one of those sources that we know is gonna come back and can be put to the original uses.
And just to confirm, the $550K for fire station number 2 is coming back, and it hasn't been allocated to anything, right?
Yes, that would be our decision. It was originally taken from downtown, but this council can make the decision if it goes to downtown, to parks, or whatever is.
So it's 500K, and then we're most likely, hopefully not, use the 200K the downtown, ¿verdad? Que sacamos for the asylum seeker.
20K.
That was 200, no?
Oh, no, 200, yeah.
Yeah,
If this,
okay.
when the state approves its reimbursement, those 200K will go back to its original place.
I would like to clarify something about the ARPA funding. I think there is a misconception about ARPA funding. It involves a lot of social equity, I get it. But if you go and look for what ARPA funding was meant for, I'm going to read it to you. The funding provided on the ARPA provides a unique opportunity for state and local governments to make a strategic investment in long-term and long-life assets, rebuild reserves, and enhance financial stability, and cover temporary operating shortfalls until the economic conditions and operations normalize. Meaning, the use of funding that we're using, the use of this funding that we're requesting today falls under that criteria because we short funded.
Yes, I understand. I think we all understand that it's within the regulations of ARPA for these proposals. But at the end of the day, the people want to see, at the end of the day, after all the movements, they want to see 3 million in downtown. They want to see the X amount in parks. And so at the end of the day, we know we just need more revenue, right? And we'll talk about that shortly, right? It's just moving money, but at the end of the day, yes, they're in regulation, but we have to come up with a plan to fund those original, ¿cómo se dice? Priorities that were voted on. So I understand, and we have to make a plan to fund everything at the end of the day, right?
It's necessary to see the movements complete
Sí.
of ARPA.
To be very transparent, ocupamos.
I mean, I want to make a difference. Like, I see this as like these are city priorities, right? The administration, I understand Ms. Esperanza's job is to make this city a well-oiled machine. So I understand that this is needed for every department to run effectively. But then ARPA Plan B for me is the people's priorities. Que es lo que ellos, when we went door to door asking them what they wanted this money to be spent on, that's what this plan is. Eso es lo que resultó al hablar con la gente. So I just want to make that distinction that this is the city priority for ARPA, but there's also a people's priority for ARPA. And that's not the one that's completely being reflected aquí. I understand that this is not all of it, but just want to make the distinction.
Okay. I'm going to go to public comments. Mr. Pesqueira, we've been waiting patiently. Voy a preguntar ahorita a los regidores, nomás que me entró esos requests. That mic is a little bit broken.
You want to use this one?
You want to move to this one? Or there you go. Ay, cómo somos pobres.
Tess, do you hear me? Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening. I know it's been a long night already.
Yes.
I'll try to make it short. First of all, I would like to thank a few people and a few places. This is going to go with this. I would like to thank the Sinicochea family. They were graciously to donate some equipment to us, to workout equipment. Some community, they came in big. They helped to furnish the new station, the garage detail shop that is over by the Cardenas. I don't know if some of you are familiar. They give us a lot of the supplies to keep the rigs nice and clean. I can go on and on. Ace Lumber, equipment for the new station. Costco for the inside of the station. And of course, not last, but not least, our fire association. We come through a lot. We're still out there trying to work to help you, help us. So when it comes to this, we're trying to apply for grants, to donations. We know this is not going to go on forever, though, but we're trying to do our part right now to be part of this budget to help out. We just don't want to come in and ask and ask and ask.
Yes.
We do understand. It's a crucial time, I think, to thank these people and ask for donations and apply for grants. So that at some point we get to where we really want to be for this town and this city, and more important, the people that come in and out and from here. There were a few things that I saw. One thing that I think would also help us, something that the fire chief, city manager, finance, they have been doing a great job. There's a one-time purchase for $950,000. That's a lot of money for one fire truck. Have in mind, it's not all one-time lump sum. It takes 2 to 3 years to get a fire truck built, from the day one to when it's here. There's a payment plan. You might want to look into that, especially when we have a fire truck as we speak, a 2007 that leaks coolant, air. So we might need more than one. That's what I'm trying to get to. But the planning, though, in front, there's great people here that we can all get together. I completely understand what Mrs. Romo's saying. Yes, sir.
If I may, I'll talk about the fire truck right now, but some people in the community have been asking, what is the age of our, one by one, if you know the years, model years of our
So
trucks?
the newest one, and we have 3 of them that are the same age.
Uh-huh.
They are 2012s.
3 2012s.
3 2012s.
There
And then
was-
from there on, they go to 2007, 96.
2007. So you have 3 trucks. You have a total of 5 vehicles or 3 vehicles?
Total of 5. We
5
have
vehicles.
3 engines,
Engines, and those are how old?
and 2 of them are 2012s,
2 of them are 2012s.
and one of them is a 2007.
And one of the, okay, so your oldest truck is from 2000, or engine is from 2007.
Yes.
¿Y los otros dos vehículos?
And then we have a brush truck, which is
Brush truck.
it's a smaller truck used for wildland or brush fires, and that's also a 2012.
2012, okay, I've seen that one. And then the other one?
And then we have a ladder truck, which is a 1996.
What is a ladder truck?
So that one has pretty much what all the fire engines have, but this one has a 75-foot ladder to reach.
So it's pretty much a fire engine.
Yeah.
Yes, so the 4 fire engines pretty much. One of them
Technically.
being 96.
Yes.
Okay, which is the one with the ladder, very importantly.
Yes.
That was,
very
if you have a
important.
building that is on fire, the 96 one is, that needs a ladder, the 96 one is the one that.
It's crucial, and especially now with the new port of entry. New port, the old port, if we were to park it right in front of the street, even on top of the sidewalk, that will not reach.
I know, we need a larger
Yes.
ladder. We don't even, yeah, but we'll get to that
Right.
right now, yeah.
But with that in mind, it's not a one-time lump sum. It's,
I'll get
there's
to
more
that.
planning to
Yeah,
it.
I'll get to it right now. The other question from the community was, comparing us to El Centro, how many engines does El Centro have?
It would be pretty hard for me to tell you just up front, but they do have 3 stations, and each one has one engine. One of them has one engine and a truck. If anything, possibly 4 engines, 1 truck. I don't know the exact.
Okay.
See, regardless, they probably have more.
Yes, and newer ones, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yes.
We are willing to work. We want the best for the people.
I understand.
Good news is, we did go to Houston, myself and 3 other of my colleagues, and brought back 2 new ambulances for the city. As we speak, they're out there. We invite every single one of you to see them up close, if you haven't yet. It was a long trip. The first day we drove 11 hours, the second day 9 hours. But they're here, they're safe, we got here safe. There's some detail to that trip that I would love to tell you all. This is not the time. There's other ways. I think we also have to review our fees, medical fees.
Fees?
I know Medi-Cal is now releasing more when we charge. I don't know the details. This, you would have to sit down and meet with certain people. But these are could help in the long run. I didn't see how much overtime between public safety. I know us being shorthanded is also gonna cause a lot of overtime. I don't know, it's something to go over as well. We have personnel working overtime every day. Every day. It's long term. The vacation, how Mrs. Collier said, that it's a lot, of 2 point something million, because it's been over 3 years that we haven't been able to take vacation. So at what point do we lift it? Or do we just keep on piling up those 2 million? Something to look at as well. I just don't want to come here and say, please don't do this, please give us. No, we're also here to work. Like Mrs. Romo, I agree with Mrs. Romo that Mrs. Colio has a job to do, but if we stick to one person, we kind of start to lean over to micromanaging, dictating. So I think we all need to help out.
To be involved in the
Yes,
decision?
I at this point.
Okay.
Because the city's not going to work with dictatorship or micromanaging. That won't work either. So if there's anything that we can help as well, please reach out. We'll also reach out. I know there's a lot of rumors out there as people stating, well, they just got a brand new station and a good raise. Well, that was in the past. We're still trying to move forward, but we understand. So with that, I thank you very much. There's also a couple of personnel that are ready to retire. Exactly. They need final numbers from CalPERS. Is it feasible now? Can they retire now? Do they have to wait? These are things that we have to visit. Yeah, because come December, you people are going to get, and Ms. Colo get hit with a large personnel from us.
Yes.
Something else. But of course, I want to thank everyone for your time and the hard work. Mrs. Colio, Sandy, thank you so much. Please, when the defer funds come clear, please reconsider, consider some things. Thank you very much for your time. You folks have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Pesqueira. Ms. Flores?
Pero sí fueron tomadas todas las necesidades de las que está comentando, me imagino.
I want to clarify something, and I take that, his comment, as that I'm a micromanager. As a reminder, I am administrator of the city.
Yep.
I take into consideration all the departments, because it's not only, the city is not the fire department only. It is all the departments, the police department, the parks and recreation. For me to, and more important, Obras Públicas, Public Works has a number of people that she works with. They operates the entire city with water, sewer, and the streets. It's not that I'm taking sides in any way. I admire the fire department my whole life, but I'm taking offense that I'm a micromanager, because I'm not. One thing, I want to make sure that everybody understands this. Since I came in on board to this city, I was able to fix the $2 million deficit that you have for that fire station, that it was 4 years in construction for mismanagement. Number two, the ambulances, the cardio, a $1 million contract was approved as well at the for my recommendation to the city to move on. Equipment that was missing have been moved. We applied for a grant to be able to bring fire station number 2. We advocated for these items. There was the priority list. I requested you, the priority list of items crucial for you to operate, and we put it on the budget first thing. So I think we have done a lot for the fire department, but I also need to consider the police department, because they're on the road all the time. and an emergency. And I know a lot of people love the fire department, and they don't love as much the police department until they need it. It's very important that everybody understand, I have to take care of all the departments. Thank you.
I understand, and trust me, I'll make this quick comment just to resolve un malentendido que puede estar aquí presente. I'm very well aware that you're sensitive to the criticism that is very unfair of micromanaging. From what I heard from Mr. Pesqueira, I don't think he was accusing anybody. He didn't even say a name. He was just saying there's two paths how city administration can do things, either very democratic or micromanaging, but he was not saying specifically what was happening. He was just expressing that he would like things to be democratic, and I think you've shown that. I mean, this is the first time when es la primera vez en años que vemos todos los departamentos listados, representados. Entonces, no pienso que a lo mejor se malinterpretó la oración, pero nomás estaba describiendo, puede ser una administración así, o puede ser una administración así, pero no te estaba acusando. Créeme que entiendo mucho la sensitividad, porque te han acusado de eso y nada que ver. Usted es detallada, que es otra cosa. ¿Entendido? Everything good? Everything good?
Yes.
Good? Okay. And thank you.
Yes,
porque,
Mr. Colio.
Thank you.
It was a complete misunderstanding. What I meant is, you need the help. If we don't all help, it can lead to mismanagement, to micromanaging. That's not what I meant.
Okay.
Señor Pesqueira,
That was clear.
fuimos observados
Uh-huh.
porque la gente que nos escucha o nos escuchará más tarde no entiende lo que pasa en estas juntas. Y este es el dinero del pueblo.
Sí, sí, claro.
Es muy fácil si yo le doy a usted en su casa o en cualquier parte $100 para toda la semana. Y usted dice $100, pero si todo está muy caro, tengo que gastar $200. Pues sí, pero pues el papá quiere comer lo mismo, 3 veces carne, 2 veces pollo, 1 pescado, ¿no? Entonces, no le alcanza. Haga de cuenta, ese humilde ejemplo lo tiene la señora Colio en una ciudad, es lo mismo. Es tan poco el recurso, es que había que ver las gráficas, es tan poquito el recurso que tenemos, que la señora tiene que dividirlo, pero así micro, en todos los departamentos, porque todos los departamentos tienen necesidades. Y hemos dado bastante dinero, hemos tenido a la población hasta en contra por agarrar fondos de ARPA que eran para otra cosa, ¿me explico?
Sí, sí, claro.
Y tenemos una crítica tremenda en todos nosotros, porque hemos dicho, hicimos un taller, hemos dicho en qué íbamos a gastar con las personas, con los parques, con el downtown, y no hemos cumplido porque a cada momento hay muchas emergencias y hemos tratado de sacar adelante, sobre todo los bomberos. Ya mis amigos policías también ya me reclaman también, porque decir, ay, necesitamos también nosotros una oficina y qué bonita la de allá y guau. Y luego me vienen mis niñas de ¿cómo se llama? De dispatcher, que también mire señora ropa dónde estamos en este huequito. Y luego vienen los de traffic control, eso sí que me duele, porque ahí andan los pobres en el calor. Necesitan sus carritos también, ¿no? O sea, ya el mayor está haciendo ahora sí que maravillas en la ICTC, que esperemos, ahí es donde necesitamos el apoyo. Hay políticos ahí que dependen de que nos den ese recurso para los muchachitos de traffic control que tanto ocupamos. Entonces son muchas cositas, nomás yo les pido un poquito de paciencia, por eso dije desde un principio, yo tengo confianza en esto, ¿por qué? Porque he visto trabajar a la señora con poco personal, a Sandy con poco personal. A veces las veo trabajando en la noche, días festivos. Aquí están trabajando. Y por eso respeto este trabajo. Y porque sé, claro, que lo vamos a poder cambiar en el transcurso, ¿verdad?, del año. Y más sin embargo, soy clara, la moción que puso el mayor es muy importante. Porque hay recursos, si ese movimiento no lo hacemos, entonces vamos a tener que agarrar más dinerito de por allá del ARPA. Pero por esa razón digo, eso sí está muy bien. Me encantaría que tuviéramos un taller donde la gente pudiera participar en español y en inglés para que vean de qué formas estamos gastando los recursos. Y gracias, señora Colio, y por supuesto vi muy poco presupuesto para obras públicas. Me acordé ahorita que lo dijo. Disculpe,
No,
mayor.
no se preocupe, muy buena intervención. Tenemos que seguir
claro.
con la señora Flores.
Sí, señorita.
Señorita, Diosito.
Aunque se tarde.
Adelante.
All right. Good evening, council members and members of the public. But my name is Daniela Flores. I'm an executive organizer with Imperial Valley Equity and Justice Coalition. I have three main kind of takeaways in my comments. The first is to I don't think we need a reminder, but I think it does have to be discussed. I agree very much with the comments made that you know, the folks that really should be our North Star are the residents. And while general funds and funds that are for operating budgets, operating the city, rightly, you know, it's important that there is a democratic process, right, that where there is an exchange and a discussion of what priorities are. That's definitely there, but I do feel the need to remind us about the statistics in our city and the health status of our residents. We're talking about ARPA. We're talking about the American Rescue Plan Act. And it was there because of the hardship that we have faced. So we are #1 in the state in terms of the highest mortality rate due to COVID-19. In Imperial County, COVID-19 is the #1 cause of death. And that is something very serious. And so when making decisions about once in a lifetime funds that were granted to this city, to make decisions that can help with that recovery. So just to remind us all, we have 300 members of our community that have lost their lives due to COVID-19. Even though it's 30 years past the 2020, we don't forget. And we honor them in our work as an organization to ensure that those communities are prioritized. So just to remind us a little bit more, we are living in a place where there are only 10% of cities across California that are healthier than in Calexico. So we are literally part of the lowest type of health in our community. We're some of the most unhealthy communities all over the state and country. And so, you know, we are lowest around education, economic, social, pretty much every single category, all the way to healthcare access, as we know. And I know that it might be things that you all already know, but I really feel like it's important to remind us all. And then I did just want to emphasize that we do, while, you know, it is within regulations for the city to cover the loss of revenue, I also want to emphasize the other priorities that were given by the U.S. Treasury that were not highlighted in previous comments as to what the charge of these funds are. And so to read, these are to support public health expenditures by funding COVID-19 mitigation efforts, medical expenses, behavioral health care, and certain public health and safety. Address negative economic impacts caused by public health emergency, including economic harms, household, small businesses impacted, and the public sector. So it goes beyond just the jurisdiction of the city departments. It also goes into talking about how a priority is to provide premium pay for essential workers, water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. I feel the need to emphasize these because those also equally, the U.S. Treasury didn't say, oh, majority should be spent on one category. It gives those recommendations equally for those recommendations. So the last thing I would ask this council is, before you bring up any numbers, before you have any discussions about how the general funds or the ARPA funds will be spent, as a resident and as a representative, looking out for the rights and the health and the wellness of our residents, residents here and those that were really harmed by this pandemic, I ask that you have a discussion about values. What are the values that you are putting into our budget? I heard Councilmember Manzanares talk about how certain things are important to him. And I'd like to know, what are the priorities of the council members out loud before we start to see where these funds are going? And I think that equally the departments obviously have values, have things that they prioritize, and I think that to the point of having a democratic process, it's really important that we are aware of what values folks are operating under. And I do ask that the council does provide direction to the administration in terms of the values of what we're holding as when we're looking through those budgets. It's important to know as residents what are the criteria. I know you received a long list of things that the departments need, and I'd love to know, like, our city administrator, what are those criteria? It's like liabilities, I hear that very often, but what else? Is it to have a healthy community, or do you really think maybe that's just a charge of Heffernan? I don't think you believe that. I think this council understands that the city is also contributing to the environment that we have. And so I just wanted to say, something missing from this conversation is values. What are the values and priorities that will be used when determining the numbers that are there? And with that, I do ask formally, as a community-based organization that has been invested for years in the implementation of the American Rescue Plan Act, I do ask the council if it can be prioritized to bring updates regarding the essential bonus pay. It's long overdue. It's been over a year since that was allocated, and we have been patiently waiting, but now we're realizing that those funds are at risk when there are other emergencies that are there, and I think the residents have been very patient with the city, and I do ask that that becomes a priority and that it's publicly explained to the residents. Step one, right? What is step one? And projection in terms of timeline of when we can see those implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Any immediate council discussion?
Just one comment, if I may.
La señora Collier quiere
Oh,
hablar.
go ahead.
I know that I've been asked about the values and my role as an administrator. My role as an administrator is to execute where the decision of the city council members. Number one, I work for the 5 of you for the decisions that you make this diocese. However, based on my experience, my education, my recommendations, like the recommendations that I make to you are based on requests from the different departments for them to subsist. Because we are in a broken city financially. I came to this city with a deficit of $4 million. And it has been very hard to change the culture of the city of receiving waivers for everything. It has been a challenge changing that culture. And I have all these departments helping me to change that culture because we do not recover all the expenses that we had to recover when we're providing services for events or for other service, for other activities. It is difficult for someone from the outside to understand what it means to have a public works department operating every day. All the kinds of emergencies that she has to face on a daily basis. If a machine broke, if the person got injured, we have one worker less for 2-3 months. It is very difficult to see it from the outside. Only the individuals that are working here every day, they can experience that. It's very difficult to ask Ms. Fonseca, who, by the way, does the payroll for the whole city, by herself, with no assistance, and being at the same time overseeing the department, receiving payments and complaints from people that are upset in a single way. Every day, we get people upset. Planning department, we don't have a director of planning department now. and we had two consultants. I had to step in into meetings and meetings all day long to be able to fulfill the promises that we made for years to some of those developers. The Remington project, just to give you an idea, that project began in 2014. You know what is to come and recover, bring those projects up today? It's difficult. All I'm asking is you understanding that the city, if we don't have any use of those funding, the ARPA funds, and I'm not asking for a lot, I'm respecting the essential workers. I'm respecting that account. If you see in the budget, it's respected. It's $1 million set aside. We didn't touch that one because I know that you made a promise before. But I had to find a way to survive the city. And we're in recession, and it's very difficult because the projections of the last fiscal year didn't come together as we expected. And we were in the last quarter, the previous quarter, the third quarter, we were below. Yes. If you notice in the numbers, the only reason we were able to have $50,000 left on the third quarter is because we were moving forward for some of the projects where they pay fees. So I'm a very conscious person when it comes to save funding. And ARPA, if I had ARPA available to keep those departments moving forward, fire department, police department, and public works department, and recreation department, I will come back to you again and again and again to make it work, because that is my job, to make recommendations. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that everybody understands. You are the one that make that decision, not me. I just provide you with recommendations based on my experience and the needs of those departments that on a daily basis, they're struggling on a daily basis.
I will speak to, as one out of 5 council members, I will speak to the question about values in a second. So, but that's a good clarification of roles and recommendations. So, ahorita llegamos. Moreno, were you going to say something?
Just real quick comment. Ms. Flores, thank you for bringing up that we do need to have a healthy community, and certainly there are ARPA funds that we did agree to give the farm workers will go to certainly help them be healthy. And I allude to this is that we have Hefferman Healthcare District, who we give up over $900,000 a year, and I remind people, where's Heffernan? Where's the money coming back to our citizens? They haven't been here since I asked them a long time. We've asked them to come over here and explain to us when's the last time they gave money to a community? Programs to keep them healthy. Why don't we just stop that money and keep it to us and feed the farm workers? So again, remind ourselves we do have a healthcare district for that specific purpose. So the people can be healthy, but they're not here, and I don't think they're going to be here ever. So again, thank you for bringing that up. We do need a healthy community, and certainly feeding those farm workers, giving that money to them will certainly go a long ways towards that, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia, apologies if we've been talking a lot. Comentarios?
Well, a lot has been said, and I think, yes, it is about values, and it's about just making sure that we're good stewards of the resources that we have, whether it's a lot or limited, and in this case, they're very limited. Wise when we make these decisions. I know that we were going, or at least, you were going through line by line, and I think, that recommendations, and that's what that is, the recommendations. It's not that we have to approve them. We also have the option, just like you did, to look at them and prioritize really where do we want to invest, not to spend, invest the money, whether it's ARPA, whether it's, the few funds that we have through other sources. Now, the only thing that I'm going to say is that, remember, we have been patching holes with ARPA. ARPA is not going to be here, forever. We only have a year and months. So what's going to happen after 2024? So we can't continue to talk about ARPA, but the reality is that we have to go beyond ARPA now. So I know switching priorities and expenses and things that we can buy, maybe this is going to be the last time in a few years that we're going to have that opportunity. I understand we have priorities, whether it's downtown, parks, the health of our community, which we are responsible to make sure that we provide a healthy community. But also, we have to take advantage of the resources and make sure that we equip also our, people that will provide that health and that safety to our community. I know we might not like that approach, but that's the reality. If we project that, we can go back and consider, purchasing or providing, whether it's equipment or staff, pending on what we will get on upcoming revenues, we know how those revenues have shown up over the last few quarters after COVID. Either we just break even or we are just short of our projections. So I'm not being pessimistic, but I'm just being realistic also. So we need to make sure that we come back with those suggestions that Mr. Reño was alluding to, see them in writing. But again, going back to another topic, this is not about micromanaging, okay? This is about having these conversations, having these workshops, understanding the process, because a lot of us don't understand the process. I mean, and we have to start with that, being honest with ourselves. How much do we really understand? How much do people understand about this process? And make sure that they participate. Make sure that they know that whatever suggestions they have, that they've been listened to. I know there was outreach for ARPA. I know there was outreach before ARPA through a strategic plan that was done by a consultant. And we also got some opinions from people, about 400 responses. And we can go back to that, and we can go back to those priorities also as to what were those priorities also back then. So again, we have listened to people. People have come out and provided their feedback. But for now, we have to be very strategic, because these funds that we have now are limited, are one time, talking about ARPA again, and we have to be very strategic. I know we have the priorities. I know we have some money set aside for specific, projects, but it also goes back to values. What is a priority for all of us? And for me, my values and my priorities is the community. So, that's it.
Okay. Vicealcaldesa, ¿algo que decir antes de tocar unos puntos? ¿No? Yeah, we have to, yeah. Bueno, I'm going to withdraw my motion. La voy a cambiar para el tercer table, because we had to do some updates. So I'll withdraw my motion right now.
Yes, because today is just a presentation.
Yes, it is just the presentation. I did want to touch on a couple more points. Disculpe que no estamos hablando español porque, ¿cómo se dice? Sí cansa a veces. Voy a tratar de traducir lo más posible ya para cerrar. On the fire truck, it was $950K for the current size ladder. What we really need, especially with the new building for the port of entry, we need the longer ladder, and for development purposes as well. So we really need, as I've heard, $1.5 million. Ocupamos 1.5 millones. Administration has identified project improvement funds that are currently frozen. There's $2.4 million in there, and that would be the most appropriate fund. Has to be some legwork from administration to unfreeze them, just like we unfroze them for the fire station, 700K. So the fire truck is to replace that 96 only ladder truck that we have, that is leaking coolant, and that is with our little sorpresitas of 150K repair expenses, is contemplated in a non-ARPA fund that exists as soon as it is unfrozen. So that's fire truck. Values, the first value is survival, because if we don't survive, we can't even implement ARPA, as we've seen. We're surviving so fragilely, estamos sobreviviendo con tanta fragilidad que ni podemos mover los fondos que ya habíamos presupuestado, ¿verdad? But at the end of the day, the bottom line, to get to the values of even sweeping the streets or remaking the sidewalks and public safety or public health and everything that we've envisioned and that we've discussed, the city needs more money. That's the bottom line. The city needs more money, it needs more revenue. Development is happening, like we're on the trend up. We've, from last year to this year, $1.3 million increase in property and sales tax. We're on the right track. We're doing everything we can, and we're being as successful as we can be, and it's not enough. So what does that mean? We need a vacant property tax. That should be our first tax for this year. And then next year, we have to start dialoguing as a council if we're gonna do a general half-cent tax or some restricted quarter-cent taxes. And that's just the bottom line is, we don't have enough funds. We're gonna go out and get that revenue. We're gonna make those proposals so that we, everything else is just details, right? We need at least $2 to $3 million more dollars per year so that we can be comfortable, continue to catch up to expansion, public safety with all the new buildings and with the higher buildings that we now need a bigger ladder truck for. Dios guarde Lora. That one day a building gets on fire, the ladder truck doesn't turn on because it's from 96. Who drives a car less than year 2000? Me daría miedo que no prendiera un día ese troque. Long story short, we need more money. And so when we bring this back, or maybe even in October, we're going to start talking about those new taxes and, just solve the problem. Obviously, we have a big hole to cover from past administrations, specifically talking about 2015, before all of us. Última pregunta, just so I'll submit a motion to table in a second. Ms. Colio, what is, I know you've been very stressed, but what is the timeline for implementing essential worker pay? ¿Cuál es los tiempos honestos para movilizar?
Once that we pass the budget, then I will work on the program.
Essential worker pay.
Yes,
Okay.
on the essential
Excellent.
workers.
Yes,
All this year, it has been like catching up with a lot of the projects
been survival,
pending.
yes.
Yes, it's been survival.
It's been survival and ocupamos más dinero. Okay, with that, I'll just make a motion to table with direction to meet 2 by 2 with the city council to create those alternatives, más el que ya se había dicho. So, motion to table, is there a second?
Second.
A second? Oh, there was no, it was posted as potential action, but we'll just leave it that way, we'll just leave it that way.
Because, yeah, they clarified it before we started.
Okay, sounds great. All right, well,
Direction to bring it back.
direction to bring it back. One question. El 21, you foresee this being approved or disapproved on the 21st, right? No, July 5th?
We're going to have a special meeting because, as you can see, it's taking us like 2 hours more or less to discuss the budget, so we're expecting to have more or less the same amount of time with the final budget. Again, the proposed budget again for you,
Okay.
with the changes that you have requested. And in the meantime, we will have to have the regular meeting and the special meeting on the 22nd.
Okay, great.
The
Special meeting.
22nd will be specifically for this project, for the budget.
Sounds great. All right, it is 9:10 p.m. Seeing no further discussion, we will adjourn this meeting at 9:10 a.m. Is there a motion?
Motion to
Second.
adjourn.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.